experience pain on some type of level, depending on the type of growth that you are aspiring to reach. Me personally, I knew the type of life that I wanted to live. I knew the life that I wanted for my children. And I also knew the luxuries and things that I wanted. I know that I did not want to work for anybody. I know that I wanted to be able to be accessible to my kids at all times, meaning that if I'm at work, I'm not going to be able to be there for them if they need me. Like, hey, mom, can you come up to the school for something real quick? Or, hey, mom, can you bring me my homework? I forgot. I wanted to be there for my children. And so the levels of pain that I have experienced with my growth is freaking astronomical. Like literally out of this world. I cannot elaborate on that enough. The pain, the pain was definitely real these past couple of years from my journey. A lot of relationships that I thought would be what long lasting, a lot of friendships that I had for over years, like decades, 10 plus years of friendships gone, relationships with family, like everything, the whole dynamic, just my growth period changed. And I wouldn't change anything about that. I'm thankful for everything that I have experienced. I'm thankful for all of those who were removed. And I'm just thankful for the overall growth. But your growth and your pain is something that you cannot escape. So yeah, I want that lavish, luxurious life, that easy life, the type of life where I can just get up and go whenever I want to. Me and my kids can just hop on a private jet and be like, all right, y'all, we'll holler at y'all later. We about to go to Paris and we gonna eat breakfast. And I knew that a lot of people couldn't understand the vision that I had for myself. No matter how much I tried to make them see, no matter how much I tried to explain it, how much work I put in, I knew that just from their reactions and the comments that they will make when I tell them the type of life that I wanted to live, that yeah, you probably not gonna be around long enough, or you probably won't be here to experience. I'm probably gonna endure a lot of this on my own, and it's probably just gonna be me and my children at the end of the day. Because, like I said, everybody is not gonna be a part of the journey, and that goes for families, friends, husband, wives, relationships, whatever the case may be. But, whew, baby, when I started this journey, I asked for the basic things: knowledge, wisdom, guidance, and understanding. But what I should have been asking for was acceptance, so that I can accept the things that were no longer in my control, accept the people that were going to be removed, and accept situations that just were not meant to be. Ooh, baby, it's a lot. It's really a lot. But I'm telling you, it's worth everything that you would have to experience in order for you to reach your heights, your growth, whatever it is that you are aspiring in your life. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is you, what you want. Are you happy? There's no way, shape, fashion, and form that you can live the life that you truly aspire to live if you're not truly happy, if you're not truly healed. And sometimes you healing yourself and you're going through the experience that you're going to require you to be alone. No matter if it's for a short period of time or a long period of time. It is just what it is, especially if you're really adamant and consistent on the things that you want in your life. Now, the amount of pain and the levels that you will have to experience, that's totally on you. But just know, no matter what you do, you are going to experience some level of pain, some way, shape, fashion, or form. Okay? Now, this acceptance thing, whenever you're going through whatever it is that you're going through, make sure that you always ask for acceptance, because we always ask for what we want, but we don't ask for us to be in the capacity to maximize everything that comes along with it. So as with the acceptance, sometimes, like I said before, people get removed. Sometimes relationships end. If you're not prepared for that, that's going to fuck you up emotionally. Especially if you are not emotionally prepared. So that's another keynote. If you ask for something, ask for the emotional strength to deal with whatever it is that you're asking for. Because when shit hits the fan, you never know who's going to be removed. You'll never know what situations you might not necessarily lose your job, but you might quit your job, and you might have a hard time letting it go. And you don't want to be attached to anything that's not meant for you. And I think that's the hardest thing that we have to endure, is letting go of the attachments that we have to these people's, places, jobs, and situations when it's time for them to get removed because of our level of comfort. Like, For example, I used to work for the Houston Police Department. I was there for 11 and a half years. And I reached that part of my journey where my team, my spirit team, when I say team, I'm talking about spirit team. Y'all know I'm into the spirituality. I'm into my ancestors and all that type of stuff. And I listen to the divine source spirit, you know what I'm saying, to guide me on this journey, because that's the only way. That's the navigation system, is yourself. And if you can't trust yourself and your intuition, baby, you're not going to make it anywhere on this planet without proper guidance. And you cannot find guidance in man. Yeah, we have some people that's going to be here to assist you along the journey, but other than that, it's just you and the divine. Okay. But yeah, I was a part of the police department for 11 and a half years, and I reached that point like, okay, what is it that I can do that I would enjoy, that would allow me to be there for my children, but also bring me money? So I started makeup. I got into makeup. My best friend at the time was like, man, you should try makeup. Now, mind you, before 2010, I never wore makeup. Then I had no need to. It was too much. But anywho, I got into makeup, and I found that I was good, and I was like, okay, this is something that I could, invest in myself and make it a business. How can I make this make money? Do I really enjoy doing this? And the answer to all those questions was yes. So I took my time and got with the right people, made the right investments, took the right classes, and got certifications, and I just took off with it. That was back in 2015, 2017. I made it a business. Oh, excuse me. I guess that's nervous gas coming up. I don't know. But it's disrespectful. I ain't trying to be burping all on camera and stuff like that, because that's just rude and that's just nasty and ghetto. And I ain't trying to show y'all that side of me, okay? But yeah, 2017, I made that business, Faced by Tara. And it was right when Harvey hit. I was working part-time at Dillard's. So I was working for HPD and I was working for Dillard's because I was funding my business so that I can get to the point to where I was going to be self-employed or entrepreneur. Man, Harvey hit, and I had already put my 2 weeks notice in. My birthday in September, so I was supposed to leave the last week in September because we had got 3 checks. We were supposed to get 3 checks, but Harvey came through and was like, you ain't going to work today. And I'm like, look here. Go ahead and make that resignation effective immediately, because I'm not coming in. Downtown flood, and I could not be away from my kids, you know what I'm saying, for a long period of time, knowing that downtown flood, I was not going to be able to get out, and I didn't want them to be without me. Like, it was a major storm. So I made that resignation effective immediately, and I worked part-time for Dillard's. I don't know why I stayed at Dillard's as long as I did. It was only 5 months, but I knew I wasn't supposed to be working for nobody else. So it's like I left one comfort zone to go to the other. And the whole process with me leaving my job was difficult as hell, because when you think about it logically, you got a full-time job, you got benefits, you can take care of your kids. Why would you leave this job? Why? I couldn't answer that. And the longer that I procrastinated with it, the longer stupid shit, that's what it is, stupid shit started to happen with me. Getting brought up for stuff that I didn't even necessarily do. I got suspended without pay with some racial stuff behind the supervisor. Lord, that lady gave me the blues, but it could have totally been avoided if I would have followed instructions the first time and quit when they told me to quit. But I didn't. So before my grand exit, I endured a lot of shit that was totally unnecessary and unavoidable had I just followed my first mind. But fast forward back to me working the 5 months at Dillard's. It was cool. I met a lot of people and I got the experience, the retail makeup experience that I needed in order to move forward. But then here we go again. They was like, all right, you need to quit. And I'm like, I need to quit again? Dang, I just got this. I got a little cushion. I just made the adjustments from going from this large amount that I'm making every 2 weeks to making the amount that I was making at Dillard's, which I did take a price cut. But hey, that was something that I was willing to do because of something that I wanted. And yeah, they say, all right, girl, it's time to quit again. And I'm like, dang, my husband ain't supposed to go for this. And I'm like, oh shit, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? Again, the longer I procrastinated, the more stupid shit started to happen to me. Started having car trouble, started having issues with people at work. And it just like, I always feel like my back was against the wall because I was forcing myself to do something that I know I no longer wanted to do. So, long story short, New Year's, I don't know if y'all familiar with dealers, but they always had this huge ass sale. This was my first time working in retail like that, so I had no idea how it was gonna be. But they had this huge ass New Year's Day sale, y'all. I got worked like a Hebrew slave. I got worked so hard, I was hiding in the dressing room, y'all. Hiding in the dressing room so I could get a break. You know, when you work in a mall, you cannot sit down. And for us to have to work like 12 hours plus with no breaks, man, for that sale, I was like, I'm not doing this shit. Fuck this. I got on that phone and I called my husband at the time and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm about to go ahead and quit this. Now, luckily, I already had some money saved up so I can have a little cushion and things like that. But me choosing myself opened up another can of worms that I was not prepared for in any way, shape, fashion, and form. And y'all, these lashes got my eyes watered. Don't think I'm up here crying, cause I ain't. It's just the lashes. Okay, let me fix that. I'm good. Okay, y'all. So it opened up a whole nother can of worms because me praying and me meditating on growth. Oh, I want this. I want that. I'm willing to do this. I'm willing to do that. And it's like, okay, you say you want this, but how much are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to give up? How much are you willing to go without? The sacrifice for me was hard. When I say hard, it was hard, but I didn't feel it because I wasn't focused on what I was not able to get. I was so focused on my mission and what it was that I was trying to do, not only for myself, but for my kids, that everything that I had to endure, I endured. Y'all, it got so financially tight for me at one point. I could not buy myself a pair of drawers. Do you hear me? I circulated the same clothes that I had in my closet over and over and over again. And if you knew me at that point in my life, a couple of years ago, I was going through a weight loss transformation because I had just embarked on this new spiritual journey. So it's like, they'll see, I wouldn't go nowhere. I was always in the house and I was just doing my thing because at that time, I had to endure like 10 months of shadow work. And shadow work is when you sit down and you face everything that you don't like about yourself. And not necessarily like about yourself, but heal. Okay? Because a lot of us are walking around with a whole bunch of trauma that we didn't place on ourselves. Some of us have shit on us that was placed on us from birth. Like, people don't understand the power of words, but words are very powerful. And I feel like, excuse me, that's that nervous gas again. I'm so sorry, y'all. But hey, that's life. Y'all just gonna have to deal with it, okay? Because it gets real on time with Tara. But anywho, I believe in the power of words, and I believe a lot of the things that we endure takes place when we are in the womb. Oh, she pregnant. You know how it is when black folks get pregnant at a young age, and I'm like, oh, well, you know, Gidget, this is my mama name. You know, Gidget done got pregnant, and she young, I think she was like 20 something, and they call and tell the whole dang on neighborhood. Every time you do something quote unquote bad, or you do something quote unquote that's not the norm, you know what I'm saying, in the black community, the first thing they do, Barbara, you know such and such. They get on the phone and tell every goddamn body like a goddamn commercial. Like, why you got to tell my business? So the opinions and how other people feel has influences on people, especially when they become pregnant young. And you know, when you in the womb, you absorb that energy. Whatever energy your mother is in when she's carrying you, you absorb all of that. So I believe a lot of us carry a lot of trauma from the womb. Okay? So yeah, we are getting ready to go to a commercial break, and we will be right back. welcome back to Time with Tara. Before we took that commercial break, I was rambling on about us receiving trauma in the womb. So yeah, I feel like a lot of us are already carrying trauma from the womb on top of the trauma that we gain when we are children, because a lot of the most traumatic experiences that set that foundation for trauma mostly happens when we are kids, especially when you have parents that are pretty much on the narcissistic side. The type that be like, since you didn't do this, I'm not gonna buy this for you, or I'm not gonna get that for you, when they really had no intentions on doing it for you in the first place. So really, just growing up where we come from in the black community, we surrounded by trauma. Okay, and as we get older, that shit takes effect on how we operate in life and our relationships and just us overall in general. Trauma is something that we cannot escape, but it's something that we can gain control over when we choose to grow and when we choose to heal. So yeah, it was a whole nother can of worms that I was not ready for, and it was some things that I had to learn to, I'm gonna say, not necessarily accept, but I had to learn how to heal through that process and gain understanding of why I allowed, certain things to take place in my life, especially when it comes to regards to relationships and things like that. Choosing yourself is ultimately hard, no matter what, when you're always, putting other people before you, or putting other people's feelings before you, or you value other people's opinions when the only person that really matters is you. But when you're not set with that foundation to choose you, it's always going to be hard, no matter what you do, in order to move forward. And in order to grow, because it's like, we like onions, to be honest. And it's like, yeah, we have this surface thing going on, but when you really on the path to healing and you really on a journey to heal yourself, it's a lot of shit that you're gonna have to peel back. It's a lot of stuff that you're not even aware of. Why do I have these insecure issues? Why do I feel like I need somebody? Why do I have these codependencies and the attachments to things? And why would I accept these things that I told myself that I wouldn't accept? You know what I'm saying? Like, the shit is crazy how childhood trauma affects your adult life and it affects your relationships, man. Like, whew. Anywho, before we get too deep off up in that, back to me and quitting these jobs and whatnot. Because, baby, I can go and I'll be all over the place because it feels good to get this shit out. Like, when you're a true healer and you're always there for somebody else, you rarely come across people that you could release to, or people that can understand you. So I'm grateful for y'all for tuning in and allowing me to release on y'all. Just like people be hitting me up, dumping on me, I'm dumping on y'all, damn it, because I'm giving it back. Shit, I'm tired of holding this shit in. We are going to another commercial break, and we will be right back with our special guest. And as you see, I have my lovely guest, Miss Nikita Bobin. She is a licensed professional counselor. So that means she got all the tea on all the traumatic shit that we have to go through in order to heal. How you doing today, Mama?
Oh, I'm great, Mama. I'm doing great.
That's what's up. So, what's your input on the trauma that we experience as children, and how does it affect our relationships as adults?
It's the foundation for how you develop everything, how you develop relationships with others, how you develop relationships with yourself, and definitely how you develop relationships with your family. It becomes generational because whatever your parents went through is usually what their parents went through and what their parents went through. And that's why I say everybody needs therapy, you know, especially black folks. We need therapy. We have generational trauma. A lot of things that happened back in slave times. I don't like the word slave, but when we were captives, a lot of things that we learned as survival skills then have been passed down generationally, and we don't even recognize that we need to break some of those chains and some of those bondages as far as trauma goes.
Absolutely, and I'm going to agree with that 100% because a lot of, like she said, a lot of things are passed down. Now, we might not experience the extent that they experienced when the trauma was Lord, the type of English that I'm speaking today. But when it was fresh, but as you go into the generations, the grandmothers passed it on down to the mothers, and in turn, us, we get some watered down version of the same traumatic shit, just on different levels. So, as an adult, being in situations created from trauma bonds, how do you feel the foundation of getting back to yourself would be different if we didn't have those traumatic experiences?
Girl, she gonna jump in with a deep question right there.
You know what? I don't even know where that came from. They was like, shit, you better just, this the question. Just spit it out.
Just
like,
spit it out.
Okay, shit. I'm just following instructions.
So how the trauma bonds have affected us as adults is what you're saying,
yes.
Right? Well, I know my spiritual journey is learning the art of letting go. And when I look at the things that have been held by my mother and things that might have been held, because my grandma is known for holding grudges. You pass her once. I remember she was still upset about one of my cousins that stole some Noxzema out the bathroom when she was 16 years old, and we all in our 30s and 40s now.
Right.
So I'm learning the art of letting go, not only just stuff but people. So trauma bonds can be generational in that case too, where we basically learn from our parents how we love. We learn how to express ourselves. We learn how to have relationships with each other. And if you do have a trauma bond, then that's going to be extrapolated from there as far as everything else and how you operate in the world. You know what I'm saying?
With that answer, you just made me feel like everything that we experience until we find ourselves is fake. Because it does not belong to us. We're not operating in our authentic true self. So we just walking around zombified and fake because we are walking trauma.
You mentioned something about wounds earlier, and it made me think that healing speeds up when your wounds are clean and uncovered. We like to put band-aids and bandages, but when you take that wound off and it gets air and you make sure that it's clean, it's able to breathe. We're the same way. Why would our skin be any different than how we are internally? And so when it's covered, many times it gets infected, and we don't learn how to properly protect our wounds. And so it's the same thing with emotional trauma. When we put on, you talked about onions earlier, those layers upon layers upon layers, and just digging it deeper and deeper to the point where you don't even recognize you still have it. And that's where, again, therapy comes in. Right? Your PSA for today is call Nikita, get you some therapy. No, but
for real, ain't no plan for real. Get you some therapy because bitch, we need it sometimes.
We do.
That's just what it is.
And it's not always because you've gone through some traumatic experience that you don't want to talk about. Therapy gives you an opportunity. Sometimes I don't even get to speak. It's just an opportunity to have somebody you can trust and just get it all out there. Just talk about whatever. I mean, you could talk about today, talk about 20 years ago. A lot of people do have trauma that come in and they want to discuss that and work it out. But you talked about earlier as well that this is a test, right? I feel like this journey that we're on right now is a test, and pass or fail is up to you. And I was writing in my journal because we were going to talk about coping skills, and one of those is writing, journaling, right? So when you journal, it gives you a present moment, like a snapshot of what you're thinking now and what's going on now. And sometimes I'm embarrassed to go back and read my journals because it's a cycle, repeated over and over and over again. And a lot of times we're afraid to look at those journals, those past writings that we have, because I don't know, you don't know what you're going to find out. There's a lot of stuff we forgot. Like I talked about the onion. Like the onion is built from the inside out. Those extra layers start, it's almost like a scab, right?
Yeah.
And so as you start peeling those back, you're like, man, I forgot about that. I forgot that happened. I have lived so many lives since I've been alive. I'm only 36, but when I think back, I'm like, was that me? Was that TV? I can't even remember.
What? I can relate to that. I absolutely can relate to that.
Yeah. And so I see it like where every test you get is a test. You get a grade. If you don't pass, you got to keep repeating that same test. And when you journal, it gives you your notes, right? It gives you keys that, okay, where am I messing up? I thought in this last test that I had that I was doing better. I have made progress from my past cycles. There's a lot of pinpoints that I can say, I know I do this. Ooh, I know I do that.
Yeah.
I know I do that. I said I don't want to, if I'm going to fail, I don't want it to be failing at the same thing.
Yeah.
When I turned 36, I said, I've had 36 years of bullshit. I do not want 36 more.
That part.
So I have to do something different. And so I started looking back at my journal. I was like, oh, I thought I passed the test. And I'm like, no, you still holding on. You still haven't learned the art of letting go and holding on just too long. Oh, that yellow light's on. We supposed to stop time?
It's been though.
Oh. I think we're going to commercial break.
No,
we're not. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm still learning. But yeah, so it's a test. Pass or fail is up to you. And if you don't pass it, answers is going to come through and say, baby, we're going to have to try it again. And it looks different. That new person looks different.
Girl,
that new situation looks different. And they're dressed in a different package, different name. But then when you start stripping it down, you're like, ooh, that's the same person. Different year. Different year.
Yes. So right off the bat, the first step to breaking a cycle is first recognizing that there is a cycle that needs to be broken. Mm-hmm. That journaling that she mentioned with the notes, that make perfectly good sense. A lot of us sit around and write all the time. Why not write about what you're experiencing and what you feel? And since you said that, it's gonna make me go back through some of my notes and look, because I got journals for days. I absolutely love writing. So I have journals for days. Let me go ahead and get this cheat sheet, because that's what it is now. Mm-hmm. Especially once you graduate through whatever situation that you came from.
It's a record of your development.
Right. Your growth, and you can go back and look like, I'm not going to accept this because I know the results. I know these type of people. They give you like a profile,
My favorite cousin, she's looking forward, well, not looking forward to, but her mom's been journaling since she was a child. And one of the things she's going to pass on is those journals when she passes. Can you imagine 90 years of whatever, of just history of what mama went through, all the things you never knew, all the thoughts you never, I'm looking forward to being able to, that's some deep stuff to pass on. Right. Yeah. And my ancestors, the last reading I got, they said you're going to have to let go of those shoes. You're going to have to buy some new shoes because your feet going to be coming out the front.
Bro.
And you're going to be uncomfortable. And I was like, you know what? At this point, I'm looking forward to being uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to, being out of my comfort zone, because I know all the growth happens outside of my comfort zone.
Yes.
When I'm in that cesspool of comfort of everything that I've known before, I know I'm not growing. Yeah. And so when I start feeling that discomfort, that I have a saying when I get on an airplane and I don't want to sit next to somebody, if it's not a negative spirit, I'm like, there's going to be a blessing there. I force myself to get out of my comfort zone, talk to that person. Every time it's been a connect. When I tell you, I was on a plane to Vegas, I met somebody who went to Prairie View, knew a psychologist. I ended up getting a mentor, getting an internship, getting a paid internship, because I didn't want to talk to him. I was like, let me sit down and talk to this dude. And it turned out for the best. And that's how I kind of ruled my life. I'm trying to get to that, I'm getting to the point where I'm stepping out of my comfort zone daily, hourly, this thought that I've thought for the past however many years, it's there because I'm comfortable with it and I don't want it anymore. So I'm tossing it out, cleaning up, because when we hoard, it's not always stuff. Sometimes it's people. Sometimes it's phone numbers.
Sometimes it's people.
And we have to learn.
Sips twice.
It's called the rule of 5, right? So when you're holding on to something and you won't let it go, you have no room to grab new things. But once you let go, it gets replaced with 5 more things. The rule of 5. If you want your life to multiply, you got to learn how to let that stuff go so you can make room. So your ancestors can be like, okay, you done now? Let me fill up. Let me get Tara to call you for that radio show. Let me give you 5 new clients in one day. Let me send you all these houses that are in your price range that are beautiful that you can choose from. I'm telling you, when you start letting go, that rule of the rule of 5, I felt it.
You know what? It gave me chills.
Yes.
From my personal experience, from the relationships that I had to let go, one of the major relationships that I had a hard time letting go was my marriage, y'all. Mm-hmm. I was married for 7 years, but we were together for 10. And when it was time for me to let that man go, I just could not do it because in my mind, he was my everything. Mm-hmm. But when I got through the healing process, I learned that we connected on some traumatic shit. Mm-hmm. We connected on some sexual traumatic shit. Mm-hmm. And that's really all it was, to be honest. When you get down to the foundation, because when I think about it, like I said earlier, it's fake. Okay, you're not gonna understand the real until you start peeling back those layers, until you start seeing the cycles, until you start seeing the shit. You're not gonna know it. So yeah, I had a really, really hard time letting go of that marriage, but I'm telling y'all, it's still a healing process. Mm-hmm. But once I said, you know what, this is not supposed to take me forever and a day to heal. I'm not going to continue to hold on to this. I'm not going to continue to keep myself in the emotions that I was feeling. I started talking about that shit and let that shit go. And little by little, as I let go, like she said, the rule of 5, blessings just started coming. Boom, boom, boom. Left and right here. This is a blessing right here. You on time with time, baby. We're talking about this shit. Talk about it. So yes, I can agree with you on 100%.
Angela Davis said, I can no longer accept the things I cannot change. I now change the things I can no longer accept. And another thing I learned recently was not to listen to your logic or your emotion because they lie.
Yes.
If you listen to the energy, it don't lie. When your spirit just feel wrong, when your anxiety's up, when your blood pressure's high, you can't sleep, you can't eat, the energy is off. Yes. And so if you can be honest with yourself, right? And if you don't feel the energy right and you start learning to let that go, that peace will fill that space where that anxiety was. It's just natural science that, that space is going to be filled with something. You might as well fill it with some positivity. And you have to ask your question, is it addiction or love?
Shit.
Because addiction, by definition, you continue to do something that is to your detriment.
Yes.
Your heart, your anxiety, your mind, your soul, your kids, all of that. If you continue to be in that situation, you have to ask yourself, is this love or is it an addiction? Like, what am I really holding on to? I had that epiphany the other day.
Right?
Shout out to Jericho. I had that epiphany the other day when you said it's fake. And I was like, what? When I really look at my past relationship and I say, well, there's so much potential here. Potential is like big. Potential is the biggest lie. I've worked my ass off to have what I have. Yes, I have potential, but I got a resume. I'm going to need you to come with your resume too. When I look at you and I see your potential, how much am I lying to myself? That I say, okay, these are things that we can have. Well, our relationship will be fine if we went to therapy. Our relationship will be great if you listen to me. Our relationship will be great if we change this and if we change that. All of those ifs are your relationship. We lie to ourselves. And so when you sit back and say, okay, well, what do I really have in this marriage? Potential.
Good sex, that part, and just potential. That's it. Nothing. Nice. And it's crazy how we walk around, in these relationships, not just, monogamous relationships, but family as well. We walk around pretending, holding all of this shit in when we could just let it go because we don't want to hurt nobody's feelings or we don't want nobody to look at us some kind of way because we're expressing how I feel. Now, if you are a typical black family, you know damn well when you are a child, you cannot express how you feel. And I grew up in an environment where you express how you feel, they feel like that's disrespectful, and they want to beat your ass. And that's just what it's hell. I'm 33. I speak my mind. My mom be like, your ass just disrespectful. I'm like, wow. It's so sad to me that you think me telling you how I feel, me telling you that I don't like what you doing to me is disrespectful when I'm just letting you know I don't like the treatment that I'm getting.
But you look in the narcissist handbook, and what is one of the popular words they like to use? Disrespectful. Oh, you disrespected me the way you are approaching me right now because I asked you nicely not to do certain things. Yeah. I'm being disrespectful. I want to call our parents narcissistic. I love my mom, I love my daddy. I'm not saying that they are, but there are some narcissistic tendencies there that I'm trying. It's manipulation and control when it comes down to it.
Baby.
Right? And not only being able to express how we feel, the things we like, the things we don't like, trauma bonds, talking about generational trauma and how we learn these behaviors from when we're young, we also aren't able to ask questions about the world. Right? And you get about 2, and it's like, you need to go and sit down somewhere.
Right?
It's like, well, I'm 6. I'm learning about the world. Why does this fall off the table? I want to knock it off the table and see what happens every time. I'm supposed to be doing this. And you have to think back to when we talk about when we were captives in this land we didn't want to be in. If you started knocking stuff off the table, you might get sold.
Right? Or beat. Or
killed or anything. So how has that translated to how we deal with our kids now? And then you talk about not being able to express yourself. How many times do you have your mom's in her room, you're in your room, you're crying about a death, you're crying about a relationship, you come out, oh, hey, everything's fine, take it to the Lord, all of those things. But we don't learn modeling of how to express our feelings, of how to ask those questions, because it's like emotions. We don't have them. We're not allowed to.
Absolutely. We are getting ready to go to a commercial break. We will be right back.
Short be easy, aka be easy, baby, yeah. See, a lot of people say I got an attitude, you know what I'm saying? Because I tell them what it is, and I tell them it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I keep it 100, yeah. They don't like my attitude, I tell them what it is, I tell them off the bus. Okay. They don't like my attitude, cause I be about my business and I stay about my hustle. Better believe it. They don't like my attitude. No. They don't like my attitude. They don't like my attitude. Don't like my attitude. Give me case about some phone and I'm running things, they running their mouth. If you ain't talking about getting bread, then I ain't nothing for us to talk about. I'm out here trying to get rich. Body going to my trap though. People ask me what's on my mind, I tell them nothing but the cash flow. Tell them get out my mix if you ain't talking my lingo. I'm trying to fly like an eagle while the haters filter fleeing like flamingos. Mama told me hang around rich cause broke, hang around broke. If I hang around broke, then I'll be the next one at the end of that rope. Nope, I got that rage for the roaches and the traps for the rats. Strapping them like a Venus fly, won't you close them up, they don't come back. See broke boys trying to come with you with game on they mind, but I'm like acid in your stomach, homie. I would break you down, got no time for that. Wait, I give you a job, you can make a cake, but you only get 10% of 100%. You can bring the rest of this heavyweight. See, I'm known to get that bread and make it rise like pound cake. See, I'm known to make an investment. Watch my like attitude. I tell them what it is. I tell them off the bus. Okay. They don't like my.
And welcome back to Time with Tara. It's your host, Shatar Nicole, and my lovely guest, Miss Nikita Bowman.
Hey.
And we are jumping back into emotions, honey. And not being able to express those emotions, and how suppressing those emotions could have an effect on you as an adult, your relationships, and dealing with narcissistic people.
Can I make one slight?
Go ahead, back there.
What's
up?
Not could. Will have an effect on you.
Yes.
When you repress, people think, boys aren't supposed to cry. These types of things, right? I'm scared of a man that won't cry, to be honest with you, because I know eventually it's going to come out, and I don't exactly know how or when. And that's what's happening with all these crazy white folks. They're not able to express themselves either. Or I don't know, maybe they express themselves too much right about now. But yeah, once you repress that, it's just like shaking up a soda bottle. It's going to eventually have that energy has to go somewhere. And it usually is directed towards the wrong person at the wrong time. And that's why you have all of these traumatic relationships that happen in our community. We all have learned, well, not all of us, a lot of us have learned negative relationship habits that have been reinforced, and we've had them so often we almost think that they're normal now.
Yeah,
that is part of it,
and we find comfort in it, and that is baffling that we find comfort in discomfort.
That's the comfort zone.
Like, bro, stepping out of that comfort zone.
I had to recognize that the last person that was attracted to me, I was like, oh, red flags. Why is she attracted me so quickly? And I was like, the red flag is that she's attracted to you quickly. Like, that's the red flag for me because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had to recognize, like, okay, that's okay. It's not a bad thing, you know? But, like, so many things have been normalized for me because of my trauma personally that I'm having conversations with my friends like, oh, yeah, my healthy relationship's going to be we can have a conversation without getting into an argument. That's not crazy and normal. Like, why can't we do that without having a whole... But yeah, a lot of those things are generational, especially in our community. They become just normal.
And if you're in a situation to where you can't even have a conversation where you expressing yourself, or you just telling somebody what you feel without it turning into an argument, that should let you know right there that that ain't the one for you. Yeah. Or this is not what you really think it is. That, yeah, this shit ain't gonna work. Because why are you so aggressive when I'm letting you know how I feel and we're just talking? Like, that don't make no sense.
That's that controlling and manipulation thing we were talking about. And I know for me, I've always tried to avoid disappointing others. I've tried to avoid letting them down. I can't control that.
Right.
Once I learned I can't control that, all I can do is show up and do the best I can do and let the rest go.
Yes, how you perceive
risk mitigation. Exactly. I can't control your reaction. I control my reaction to your reaction.
Yes.
So if you want to be an asshole and not want to listen to what I have to say, I don't have to participate in this conversation.
That's right.
But we feel like we do, because even though a lot of empaths are with narcissistic type people or have narcissistic tendencies, when they like to control and manipulate, empaths have to be honest with themselves that a lot of them like to control and manipulate in their own way. And a lot of times we are trying to avoid disappointment. We're trying to avoid that storytelling that we do of, I don't want them to see me as this or as that. That's growing pains right there. It's being able to accept, yes, I'm going to disappoint people. Even on my best day, I can answer all 15 phone calls, and that 16th person I missed because I'm in the bathroom and I'm getting negative reviews. You can't please everybody. All you can do is show up.
You absolutely cannot.
You told me early, Dave Ramsey said, live like no one else so you can live like no one else.
Yes.
And when it comes to growing pains, we have to start making those tough decisions and doing those tough actions so that we can have a bigger and better life for ourselves. I forgot his name, Eric the speaker, Eric the preacher, whatever his name is. He said we have to exchange our thoughts. Like, a lot of us have millionaire mentality. We want to be millionaires. He said, but y'all got a $15 work ethic. And I thought about that not only with just wanting to make money, but how are we in our relationships too? You know, so he said, why don't you shoot for incremental growth? Why don't you shoot for 50K? And once you get those work ethics down, once you get your skills up, once you get that confidence that 50K is nothing, double that. Now you got 100.
Yeah.
Now your work ethic is 100K, and you can aspire to those bigger things. It's the same with relationships. You want to have this great, healthy relationship. Oh, baby, what books you reading? What are you doing to develop yourself when you're looking at somebody else wanting them to come into a healthy relationship?
It's all about that self.
Yes.
You can't want something if you're not willing to do the work required to receive it. If you're not in a position to get it, how the fuck are you going to get it? I mean, how?
You can't even see it. You can't have someone love you. It's very difficult to receive love when you don't love yourself.
Baby!
When someone's like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful, you're like, I got this mole and I got this and I got that. And it's like, no, you're just beautiful. Just leave it
It's
at that.
yeah.
We fight that.
We do.
Yeah,
It's
like I
okay.
said earlier, when I was like, the red flag was that she was interested in me, and I'm like, I'm a catch. A lot of y'all should be interested in me.
Right.
What did you heard? Come on now.
Man.
But yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about coping skills. We talked earlier. With growing pains, literally it's grief, right? There's a lot of loss that happens when people think about grief. And I do grief counseling with so many of my clients. They think about, oh, somebody died.
Yeah.
Your relationship died. You were with this person for 10 years. How much of your life? A third of your life. Sip the tea, girl. A third of your life. And yes, you have growing pains from that. You have grief from that loss. Grief is really just how do you deal with a loss. And it can be your car. I've had someone cry because they had a really reliable car. They worked their ass off to get it. Yep. They had to sell it to get the next one. Cried. Lost. The relationship you were in for 10 years, regardless of how terrible it was. I worked hard on this. I put my heart, my soul, my tears into this. Yes, there's grief there. There's a loss. And then your job. I lost my job a couple of years ago, and I was just like, why am I so sad? I didn't like that job. Right? I didn't like them people. But like, it's so lost. It's like a gut check that you're not as perfect as you thought you were. You got some work. This person really just didn't appreciate everything that I brought to the table. Regardless of the reasoning, it's still a loss, even if it wasn't legit at all, because you have relationships where you did everything right, or most of the things right. Yeah. You're not the one who broke up, but you still have to experience the loss and recognize, okay, like you said earlier, where am I in this cycle? What do I have to work on so I don't have to repeat the same grief over and over and over again? Some of the coping skills we first talked about were writing as a present moment versus your future growth. And you can kind of see some of your patterns. I know for me, when I'm going through grief and I need to get out of my mind, I'll make playlists. We're musical people.
Music here. Do you hear me?
Yes. And when you're in touch with your ancestors, they will send you exactly what you need at the right time. I'm telling you, I'm hearing songs I'm thinking are new because I don't listen to the radio. I don't know. Yeah. I'm thinking these songs are new, and no, they've been out for 10, 15, 5 years. My sister called me out like, no, that's been out for months. I'm like, okay, well, anyway, it hits. It hits different now than it hit before, for sure.
You know what? And let me just say this, because you're absolutely right. A couple of months ago, I was sleeping, and I don't know if I was dreaming or what, but I had asked myself in a dream, like, why the fuck do I keep attracting all of these broken men? And I bullshit you not. The song that came in my head was fucking Whitney Houston, I Am Every Woman. And when I tell you I have been jamming that song non-fucking stop, because it was a message in that song for me at that moment. Music heals. Yes. That is so dope.
Mine right now is Alicia Keys and Khaled's So Done. When I tell you this song is perfect in every way, the vocals, the music, everything. But she said, I'm trying so hard to be different. Like, God, please help me be different, because I'm so done of holding back my voice, being small, going through hell for no reason. Absolutely. I'm so done. I'm telling my sister's like, if you play that song one more time. But I'm like, I'm sorry, we got to do this, because it's moving me out of the place I was. And music has the power to do that. And sometimes it has the power to keep you where you're at, too. So you got to watch out what kind of stuff and it has the power of, like, I was telling people, how often do you just drive in your car with nothing playing? Because we are musical people. But those are messages that are being fed to you. Those are someone else's words, someone else's energy, someone else's whatever they're trying to get to you in that moment. So you gotta be careful with that too. Like, some people will listen to like emotional music that can send them the other way. And I have to talk them down. Like, no, I need you to go play Hakuna Matata instead of whatever emo music you listen to that's telling you to go kill yourself. I have to talk people down. So you gotta be careful with that energy too. But I tell people, if you know you're going through, you gotta make some playlists for whatever moment. so that it's not something you have to do while you're in distress. It's something that you already have set up for yourself.
Yes.
So I have a whole Disney playlist. I got Hakuna Matata on there, Sound of Music,
Yeah.
Frozen, believe it or not, because she said sometimes a little distance makes little things seem small. The things that once controlled me don't get to me at all. I'll be quoting Frozen.
But first of all, I sing Let It Go all the time, and I watch Frozen a lot too because I have kids. And if you're not up on Disney,
yeah,
baby, you sleep because Disney be having the best fucking messages.
Princess and the Frog.
Baby, that's my baby. Me and my son watch that every day. I fucking love Tiana.
Yes.
Girl, I love it. But man, at the end of the day, it's all about you.
Yeah.
It's all about healing yourself. So what are other copings that we can deal with? Look, copings.
Coping skills. I got you.
Coping.
Minding your own business.
Yes.
I tell people that and they're like, what you mean? I'm like, mind your own business, for real.
Yes.
Anxiety comes from either living in the past, you can't change it, living in the future, you don't know what's going to happen, you can't change that either, or living in somebody else's mind. You can't change their mind. You don't know what they're thinking. So you try to figure out, how can I mitigate any of those risks? What can I do about the past? Nothing. Okay, so what can I learn from it? You start digging into it. What can I learn from it? What can I process from it? Once you're done with it, let it go.
Let it go.
Then you look in the future. I don't know if I'm going to get that next job. Well, I need to get this skill. I need to update my resume. I need to network. Once I've done everything, let it go. And then what? You got to deal with your present moment. Like I said, how many times can you ride in your car and think in your head on your own? That's where meditation comes in. Being in your present moment. And so I switched to the next one, but let me finish on minding your own business. Develop a goal on what you want to focus on so you can break that cycle. So right now my goal is learning the art of letting go. I got a new nose ring. She want to get infected every other week. I let it go. Now I got a cute little mole, you know what I'm saying? I got a little baby mole. But I had to learn the art of letting go. Little things like that. Work a plan to achieve that goal and then get busy doing it. Once you start spending that time you were spending on the future, on the past, on that other person, on you, you'll see your stuff multiply because now you got some free time to actually mind your business and develop it.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, working on self-discipline. And then you also get to learn what you like. You get to learn about yourself. You get to learn how you talk and things you like, things you don't like. People can come to you cross. I ain't dealing with it no more. So done, right? So yeah, you get busy doing you. You get busy getting to know yourself. Date yourself, if you will. Because I went to the grocery store for one thing of ice cream. And I was like, you know what? I like this, hadn't had it in a while. I like that, hadn't had it in a while. I'm buying stuff I like. I'm doing my hair the way I like. I'm buying clothes I like because it's about me right now.
Yes.
So, and the meditation is being in your present moment. And so, what you know about meditation? I know you meditate often. Tell us how we can get deeper with the ancestors.
How I like to meditate, I do walking meditation. So when the weather permits, I like to go to the park and I put my headphones on because when I meditate, I be having full-fledged conversations with my motherfucking self here. So I don't want nobody to think I'm crazy, which I don't give a damn if they do it now. But I had them good old headphones on and I just get to walking and I'll be like, okay, Tara, this is what's going on right now. This is how you feel about it. What are you going to do to get through this, get over this little hump? And how we gonna move past it, because a lot of times we be stuck in our own shit because we be in our minds. It all starts with a thought, y'all. Like one thought can take you back 10, 15, 20 years and the next thing you know, you sitting in this energy that you was sitting in from the past and you like, why do I feel like this? Why I'm so emotional? Why am I crying? When you don't even have to be fucking crying if you just control what you think. So I notice when those types of thoughts that pull me back to my past creep up, I find myself now, okay, bitch, that's the past, so let's move forward. Why are you bringing me back here? And sometimes you have to understand that when it takes you back, you also have something else that you need to heal as well. So sometimes it's not necessarily just to take you back, it's to take you back to show you something that you might have missed when you were speeding the hell up out of there. Because sometimes we try to rush the process and we miss a lot of things. So Just like when we moving forward, when we miss something, we're gonna repeat those cycles in some way, shape, fashion, or form, even if it's with that person or if you are alone, until you recognize what it is that you need to heal or let go of what you did not see. A lot of times we have stuff right in front of us, but we be so wherever we be at, not focused on what's in front of us. Like I can see everything back there, but I can't see this shit right here. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm so focused right there. But it helps me a lot. Okay, so controlling the mind.
So one thing when you just said that, I have to stop those thoughts and replace them with others. That's CBT therapy right there. So understanding what our thoughts are and how they're connected to emotions, and then setting yourself up with, when I think this, let me replace it with that.
Yes.
Because our subconscious mind doesn't know what is true and what is false. You can tell it anything. You can tell it the sky is gray enough, you'll start to believe it. And that's sometimes where psychosis comes in. It's those delusions that you believe that everybody else is like, not gray. Yeah. Well, sky's not green. I mean, it can be gray, but with meditation, it's actually the art of stopping those thoughts. And so when you're in meditation and even if you're trying to clear your mind, and people be like, oh, I either fall asleep or my mind is racing and I can't, and I'm like, that is meditation. Yes. Meditation isn't when you're totally free and no thoughts are coming through your mind and you're just clear. It's the art of controlling those thoughts. So when you are going off on this tangent or that, it's like, okay, I acknowledge you thought,
right?
Whatever that is, it's not serving me right now, so we'll come back to that later.
Yes.
And being able to come back to your present moment. So my ancestors told me to listen to something that's not that doesn't have any type of rhythm. So like nature sounds, whether it's rain or the crickets or whatever. And they be freaking me out sometimes because it's so real. But, and I've learned to stop listening to soundscapes and, like you said, go outside and actually listen to real nature, get some real vitamin D, get some real oxygen, which are all things that are part of coping skills, getting that nature that we need. Because the sun, when it hits your eyes, it activates some things in your body. I'm a doctor, but I know it activates some things.
Baby, I know what you're talking about.
The vitamin D in our skin, it helps with your hormones and your stress. So I tell my clients, even if it's 15 minutes in the middle of the day, you need to go outside, walk to the car and back or something. But yeah, that's a part of meditation is, they say it actually can make you age backwards if you really learn the art of it. They looked at, well, we're wrapping up, but yeah, it can help you to basically turn back the clock of time if you learn how to meditate. I believe
that because y'all see how young I look,
y'all. You're working.
But I know that's right. Well, that is our time today. Thank you for joining us with Time with Tara. We will definitely have Miss Nikita back because evidently we got a lot of shit more to talk about, y'all. But thank you so much for your time and your energy.
Thank you, sis.